Welcome to my cabin. It is a frisky day today, but I thought I would make a video and talk about how I built this cabin for not a lot of money at all. I would say under a few $1,000s. It is very common man, just 21st century. It's achievable, so it's not this huge log home, log mansion. It is on private land. Some people have concerns about that. They ask if you could build on public land, public property, government land, crown land, depending where you are in the world. I know in the United States, in Canada, everywhere has different laws. So look up your local laws if you would like to get into cabin building and if you don't want to purchase your own property. Because the most expensive part about a cabin is not the cabin itself, it's usually the land. So especially for a cabin like this, this is a 19th century style hunter trapper cabin. Very, very simple. I have no experience whatsoever. This is my first cabin that I built, and I'll go over in a few steps what I did. If you have no experience, if you don't know how to work a whole lot of tools, a whole lot of timber framing tools, no worries, because I have no idea what I'm doing either. I'll show you guys some mistakes that I did, so hopefully you guys could learn from this video. It's going to be a very simple video, nothing crazy, super budget friendly. Let's get started. I built this entire cabin with one small chainsaw and one axe. That's all it took, as long as you have two arms, because I had to drag the logs myself, and also my dad came to help me with the bigger, higher logs because I'm not a machine. This was built with absolutely no machinery whatsoever. The biggest machinery that was here to build this cabin was a chainsaw. There was nothing else. There was no loader, backhoe, no nothing. It was just pure manpower and a rope. So I'll talk about that a little bit more in depth before, or after, I should say. This is something maybe that I do different depending on the day. These are just standard square notches. I zoomed in on these ones because you could see this with like small logs, big logs, doesn't matter. I didn't measure anything out, no plan whatsoever. I just kind of went with the flow. So you could see log was round. I'd notch it here, make two incisions. Sometimes it really wouldn't line up. As you can see, I stopped my cut here. I noticed it makes no sense. This log is a lot further back, so I had to back up my cuts. Like I said, it's not perfect, but it works and it is very budget friendly. I know if you watch a bunch of other videos, they'll tell you to do it differently and to measure everything out. In my case, that just didn't happen. Never happened and never will. I'm more of a go with the flow kind of guy and make a rough build. So you can see what the cuts look like. In between all the notches, I did where it was possible, I added some caulking, which is super, super, super budget friendly. In back of the same big log you were just in front of, you can see the cut was just too wide. I didn't want any mice or anything to get in, so I just added some caulking. Super simple solution. You could fit another piece of wood there. Like I said, I wanted to build a cabin. I wanted to make it as cheap as possible and have a budget-friendly build, but also beat the winter. So everything had to be, like the stars had to line up, and that just usually doesn't happen. And also I had no idea what I'm doing, so keep that in mind. All of these, I would measure out. If I would probably do it again just to make it simple. Measure out the logs that the top log is going on. So let's say if this is your log and you're seating this one on top, I would measure out, okay, well this one has 10-12 inches. I'll notch it 10-12 inches, that's where it's going. It would have been one step more that probably would have saved all of this, but honestly, I don't care because I think it looks like mud and it looks awesome. It looks period correct to me. I wanted a 19th century style cabin, and that's what this looks like, and it looks awesome. So, super easy. This is just normal caulking. I took brown. Nothing out of the ordinary. It's like $2.70 a tube, I believe. Super, super simple. Between the logs here, same story. I tried to notch them as deep as possible so they would seat and I would have less of a crack. But as you can see, some places it's deeper, some places it's more shallow. It's Mother Nature. The logs are just how the tree trunk was. I didn't get them planed. I didn't do nothing. This is the lumber from the land. I didn't pay for the logs. I didn't do nothing. It's just straight up off the land. For the foundation, to give you guys a simple idea of what went on, I'll show you guys the other side of the cabin. This side is lifted about 16, 18 inches off the ground. I wanted this just so I could crawl underneath the cabin. But it is just on some pine, just like struts. It's nothing special. I know you're supposed to put cement and rocks and make a foundation. I did not. I didn't want a foundation. I know with rocks and different gauges of stones, the water, it strains it out nicely out the ground so the cabin doesn't rot and blah blah blah. I know, like I said, I'm not going to get a dump truck here and there's no stones. All the stones you see are the ones that I found with my ATV, like on the road coming here and everything. Because on the mountain where I am right now, all the stones that you see that I found are right here on my makeshift foundation. I'm kind of hoping, like I said, super budget friendly. I made a video this summer of me absolutely just dying trying to carry all these big stones up here and underneath the cabin. The weight of the snow, I'm kind of hoping it's going to crush down and seat the cabin on the logs, or I should say the logs on the stone. Super simple, primitive, it looks awesome, and it also works. As for the roof itself, it is overkill, it's useless, but I put cedar planks just in case one day if my tin would fail and it would go underneath the tar paper, it would be cedar and it wouldn't rot. That is the only reason it's overkill. I paid for 13 planks, I remember 4 years ago. For 13 10-foot planks, it costed me $130. So, pure transparency, that's what it costed, $130 for 13 planks. That is one of the most expensive things that I had to put on this cabin, that I had to buy single-handedly because it's only 13 planks and I had to carry them here by hand and it was really a pain. But like I said, it's just complete overkill. Pine would have been fine because now I have tin, black tar paper, which is not needed, plus cedar. So there's no possibility of the roof ever rotting. It's very simple. I could have just used pine. It's a lot cheaper. It would have been maybe like $20 to $80 for 12 planks maybe. It's a lot more common, but I wanted cedar. If we just simply move to over here, the tin that I used isn't even proper tin for a roof. That is way too expensive. I found 2 rolls of pool tin, so just a standard above ground pool, in the garbage. So people sometimes, they put scraps on the side of the road. I had 2 full rolls, so I'm guessing it was like a full pool on the side of the road. Loaded it up into my truck and I left with it. Roof was free. So there is a few things here that you could actually kind of salvage from other objects. The roof, if there's a barn or something, you could take the planks off of it. Super simple. You just have to ask. Usually people will be more than happy that you will take it off their hands. As for the smaller details, like the windows and the decorations, like let's say the rocking chair, the window was free. My uncle gave it to me. Nobody wants wooden windows anymore. They're not airtight. They're terrible, but they are period correct for a log cabin, so I wanted one. The rocking chair was actually thrown in the garbage. My dad picked it up for me, so all that stuff was free. And also, I'll turn around and go on the other side of the cabin. The window that you previously saw was also free because it is a wood window. You're now looking at my cellar. Right beside there is my little cord of wood that I use to heat up during the winter. I have my saw on it just because it adds weight, so anything like a raccoon or whatever would try to get in there, a bear, what have you. A bear maybe not, but a raccoon, yeah. Have trouble moving the saw out of the way, and it can't get to the mostly water bottles that I have stored in there. But it does not freeze in the winter, which is awesome. It's about 3-foot deep hole. I'm not going to open it just because I don't want a huge gust of air going in there. But it is just a hole. You could see in my previous videos this summer, I believe, at least a year ago, I built this. The bricks around it are free. It's just for the door to latch shut on it to make an airtight in air quotes seal. So yeah, super simple. Bricks were free. I picked them up, I believe. My girlfriend had them. She didn't know what to do with them, so I'm like, eh, sure, I'll pick them up. I'll do something with them at the cabin. Brought them here with my ATV. 100% free, but it did take a long while to dig like a 3-foot hole with a pick and a shovel. Very, very hard, because there was, I should say, one massive stone that is now part of the foundation of the cabin. If you have any comments or suggestions or even questions about building a cabin, this cabin, or what have you, leave it in the comment section beneath the video. It really helps out the channel, and I'll be glad to help some of you guys out. I think I pretty much went over everything. This cabin took, I believe I'd have to look in my cabin journal because I documented everything as I was doing it. But it took right at 24 days, I believe, so less than a month, and a few $1,000s in materials to build. Like I said, planks were pretty expensive. I know the caulking, I bought at least 50 tubes to fill the cracks in between the logs. And apart from that, like my windows, my fireplace, everything was free, like I mentioned, so it's really not that hard. If you want to build one, like a little cabin like this for your kids, for yourself, a little off-grid settlement, you just need a piece of land. Obviously, it doesn't need to be massive. Just a small square piece is good enough to build a cabin. This is a little 10 by 10. Not sure if I mentioned that. So 10 feet by 10 feet. On the inside, it's a little bit smaller due to obviously the diameter of the logs. But super nice. It's a little getaway place. In the winter like this, it's awesome. You have a nice warm little sanctuary to come back to if you go hiking, snowshoeing, snowmobiling, what have you. You could get here. Super nice, and also super budget friendly. It's not a huge log mansion that costs millions. It's almost free in today's standards, really. So thanks for watching. Hopefully I could help somebody out. Like I said, any questions, comments, leave them down in the comment section down below.